Can we welcome into the KTU studios? It's our Artist Interview Lounge powered by Celsius. Do I say Young Frankie, baby? You know what I'm saying?
You can say that for sure. Yeah.
Young Franco, bro. Welcome to the KTU studios, my guy.
Man, thank you for having me.
This is obviously a conversation that I have been looking forward to because I did not know that I loved your music so hard until I did my research. And I was like, why do I keep on going back to the title screen of FIFA 23 for this particular record? Damn, it's you.
That's me. It's
you.
floating in the ether and then we meet. So
it still is. But even aside from that, man, how does a young dude from Australia who loves hip hop then infuse and create this whole sound that it is his own? Like, tell me about the lore, bro.
I think it kind of comes from like me loving kind of like, I guess, a hip hop side of things and then like dance side and sort of finding these two loves and trying to find like I guess a middle ground.
Yeah, and you feel like you found it?
Yeah. I feel I'm really lucky. Like it's the good thing with Australia is there's so many amazing artists coming out of Australia. So you get a lot of different influences, and obviously everything is sort of exported into Australia, so you can kind of just find your sound quite easily.
Drop some of those names. Who are some folks in Australia that we have yet to really fully appreciate?
One tablespoon.
Okay.
One tablespoon is really, really good.
The way that really just was, I couldn't even finish my sentence.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How dope does it feel to know that your music, One Tablespoon's music, is something that truly represents the culture and the rest of the world is finally getting a hold of this sound
I think
you knew was dope?
People love to see Australians winning overseas.
Yeah.
Like we've got Tame Impala, we've got like Flume's doing really well over here, Kid Laroi, Troye Sivan, and so everyone Royal Otis. So when these people are winning, everyone's like, that's someone from down the road. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
it does feel like it's a sense of community, bro.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, and how has that been a part of what you wanted to create, is knowing that it was this, immense sense of community that you were proud to be who you were and to create what you felt was right in your heart?
I think I'm just lucky to have like a good community where I live, and also the weather's good. So it's sort of inherently, I think people are generally in a good mood.
Yeah.
So like the weather, people are just generally happy to.
We were talking
be around.
before we rolled on, the tape here, that it was the invitation. You gave me the open invitation and to crash on the couch, even if I could. Man.
Yeah.
It's a long ways away, but the idea of music being transcontinental, music being global, like when you were beginning, your production, your DJ, you're finding out that maybe you singing and doing all those things on your thing, but when you're finding that I can create something that someone on the other side of the planet can vibe to, like, how enormous is that feeling as a creator for you?
I think it's sick because being like a child of the internet, like you're just absorbing like all this information and trying, like my first love was like New York hip hop, like Tribe, De La Soul, Biggie, obviously. So for me, I was like, how do they make these like scratching sounds?
Yeah.
And I was like 14, 13, and luckily the internet existed. So I'm like, okay, so they're doing this with records, and then you deep dive and you're like, well, this is bigger than I kind of knew.
Yeah, that was your introduction into the culture.
Totally. So you like, and as coming from Australia, you're sort of like learning about these things from all the, like as much as you can, going to your local record store.
For sure.
So it's maybe a similar experience around the world for musicians. They're just like, how can I like deep dive into this stuff?
But also it was a particular 1980s film with a couple of SNL characters that all of a sudden turned out to be a movie that Dad just was playing for you, man. Let us talk about how the Blues Brothers movie was such an influential part of your musical journey.
So
dude.
Good how you grabbed that. Yeah. So because I watched it when I was like 7.
Yeah.
And it was swearing and then like jazz music and soul and James Brown, and sort of like feels like a crash course into like all those amazing
things.
Yeah, amazing things.
That a 7-year-old shouldn't be like holding on to. Yeah.
And so that sort of like put me into this world like, well, I love these artists, and then I'm going to deep dive into this. And then from there I was like, okay, there's like also disco, and then like how do they sample these records and make it into new? So, and then obviously turned 18 and Australia drinking age is 18, go to clubs, dancing.
Can I ask something? I want to cut you off, but can I ask something that's super stereotypical? And I just want to clear the air. Was it like a proper Foster's, like when you turned 18, or is that just something that we here in the States are like?
Never had a Foster's.
Okay, so yeah,
Promise
there you
you.
go. All right.
And not everything's trying to kill you. I promise.
Thank you.
Yes.
Man. Thank you for clearing that. All right, so I didn't mean to cut you off there, but I had to get that out there.
Yeah.
But it was those things. That
Yeah,
just-
yeah, and it was just like as a sponge, you're just like, how can I absorb as much of this as I can? So it feels nice to come to New York because that's like, you know, obviously Tribe and Queens and De La and all those guys.
Well, not only that, I mean, a massive record that I think that the world really recognizes of yours is Juice, and even 2 Feet have some roots to your trips here to New York.
Yeah,
huh?
yeah.
Explain how that process and your visits here to the city were like, yo, this is an environment that I know that I can, you know, really speak about in my musical language.
So yeah, those songs came about. There's an artist called Pell out of New Orleans, and basically I just had a bunch of demos. We got together and was like, and it was one of those sessions you like finish in 2 hours and then you have a pint after. So it was when you do that, you're halfway through the beer and you're like, okay, I think we've got something.
It's a vibe, and
you're thinking about the song in your head. But yeah, that was like I work with Pell a lot. He's amazing, and those were sort of those songs that it was kind of pre-COVID made.
Yeah.
And then they came out and sort of, I guess, changed my life. Like they got on Apple Syncs and all that stuff. So yeah, really.
I had that highlighted here, man. It's syncs, bro. It's, you know what I mean? When you're seeing your song on, or you're hearing your song on Kia commercials, or like I said, I had no idea why I kept on returning to. First off, FIFA 23 was one of the dopest years of FIFA. You know what I'm saying?
It was good.
Mbappe,
it was good.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, let's go. But then when I started to hear this song over and over again, and then as I started to research and getting, you know, myself comfortable with having our conversation, I wrote it here, big bold letters, dude, falling apart. Boom, there it goes. When you get those either emails, when you hear your stuff or see it for the first time in that scope, what does that mean to you, dude, as an artist?
I reckon it's validating. You know what I mean? You're like, oh damn, I put my all this work into the song, and then you're like, oh yeah, I'm right. Yeah. I was right the whole time. This was actually quite good.
And what's dope is that you don't create trying to search for that right.
No, of course
it's just
not.
You're creating being yourself, and you get that validation outside of the bubble.
But I had to stop playing online on FIFA because I was just getting smacked.
Dude, you're not a FIFA player, dude.
I do play, but like every time I go on, there's some kid is like Josh, 2012, and I'm like, okay, so there's 13-year-old kids.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's brutal, bro. Yeah. Dude, I'm not even gonna lie to you. I'm gonna look right down into the camera. Malcolm, that's my 7-year-old nephew. Malcolm, if you ask me to play Rocket League one more time so you can kick my ass, Uncle's not getting you anything for your 8th birthday, bro. These kids online, dude.
No presents this year.
None.
Let me win once.
At least one time.
Yeah.
One of my most recent faves of yours, man, is Lose Control.
Oh, thank you,
dude.
man.
I mean, your tunes are so catchy, and it just feels like what music is supposed to feel like when you get into that creative space. Are you just creating from this is what I just want music to feel like, and this is what you get is me.
That's basically it. I think it's like a product of like just where I live and like good weather. Basically, what's amazing about Australia is all the internationals, they like skip the Northern Hemisphere winter. So you hit the summer and everyone's traveling. There's festivals on like Christmas time too. Yeah. So people are just happy to be there. And so a lot of the times you can get in with sessions if people are in Sydney for a week. And that was what happened with the Earth Gang record. The boys were touring with an artist called Genesis Owusu, who's Aussie, and just got an email through, and the boys came through and just banged it out.
How
2 hours.
Nuts is it to think that collaborations can happen like that, but it's about finding the right collaborators.
Totally. Yeah.
You know what from your vantage point, how does a collaboration start? In the DMs and email?
It's DMs. Totally, always DMs. Usually DMs or like an email. That's it. And sometimes a cold call.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then to find the right collaborators, how important is that?
So I think the number one thing is I have to be a fan of their music.
Dope.
Like if I'm going into a session and I'm just going in blind, and it generally doesn't work out the way that I would want it to, I think. But if you're like really excited about their music and they're excited about your music, and you find those two worlds, like it always comes out with this.
Dude, who has been one of those artists that you were just jamming to for a while, and for some reason you just felt it in your heart that we're gonna sync up together and create something that's truly magical? Who were some of those artists that you were just first a huge fan of? You slid into the DMs and they slid into yours and it happened.
It was a guy called Masterpiece,
All right.
who is based out of the UK. He's like like British, amazing, does like bit of rock, bit of punk, bit of dance music. And yeah, I just literally was like, hey, like, what are you doing this day? He's like, I'm doing nothing. Yeah. Go in the studio in London and same thing, summer. Something about summer is like, So, I mean, man, and when you think about the fact that you're about to head to, at the tape into this conversation, to Miami, a place that feels like summer year round. Of course.
It's when the vibes are right.
Yeah.
It calls for good music. Not to say that amazing music doesn't happen in the deepest and depths of winter, but it's a different type of sound.
Yeah, for sure.
Do you think, and would you ever challenge yourself to, venture off into some of those more emotional or create during winter and see where, you know what I'm saying, Young Franco can go with that kind of energy?
I might have to try, but I think it's funny. I just always am listening, I think, to all types of music. So it's sort of like whatever I'm listening to at the time, I'll try and sort of like sit in those worlds.
And see if it feels right. I mean, more than anything, it has to be the right thing for your heart. As you said, you have to be a fan, man. I want to think as we start to, because I want to occupy our time, but we could chat forever, bro. But here's the thing: you already invited me to Australia to come and kick it on your couch. Are there still 3 a.m.? Are there still 3 a.m. Club gigs going on? You know what I'm saying? Are you still doing that after hour vibe?
Me personally,
yeah.
Or
did that have to stop once the early days when you were like, man, I need to get some proper sleep?
So we did the House is Yes for the New York show recently, which was sick, and that was a 2:30 finish. Yeah. The 3 a.m. gigs are like not that often, but obviously in Europe, like there's places like, in Spain that just go forever. Yeah. So if it's the right vibe, for sure, I'll do it.
You're just gonna. I think I saw a chat maybe a while ago of yours where it was one of your first 3 a.m. gigs. Yeah, like the power went out or some crap.
That was the OG days in Brisbane. Dude. And I was like cutting my teeth.
What does it feel like to be a DJ getting ready, as you say, cutting your teeth? It's your first few gigs and the power goes out at the beginning of the set.
When you're like 18, 19, and this is like, all I want to do is this.
Yeah.
And the power cuts out, you're like, that was the worst thing ever. Now, obviously, a couple more years later, I'm like, it's not as scary, I would say.
That leads me to like the final questions that I want to ask you is, at this point in time, man, knowing how proud you are of yourself, what would you tell even younger Franco?
You know what? I think about this and I'm like, I wouldn't say anything, because then like that butterfly effect, I feel like as much as you might like say like, don't do this or whatever, like those mistakes are really important so that you can be like, oh, I didn't like that. I shouldn't have done that gig, or like maybe I should have done it this way. And then to be at the point I'm at, I'm very happy. So like,
okay.
Yeah.
Now, lastly, what are we telling older Franco?
I hope you're, good question. I don't know. What would you say?
I mean, I would say, and it sounds cheesy and cliche, but I mean, just keep being true to who you are.
Yeah.
Keep being, super dedicated to the direction that your heart leads you in, because it's never going to steer you wrong.
For sure.
And maybe I would also tell older Franco, like, yeah, don't worry. Sometimes Maxwell does clog up a toilet. Yeah, because I would have already been there to visit.
Totally. You'd still be on the couch. The ghost of you or something, or whatever it is.
But no, like what's really, truly awesome as I dove into the album, which is here.
Thank you.
By the way, you got multiple tracks that are just like, it's earworm city.
Thank you.
It's just to just be who you are, dude, and just it's one of those kind of albums where you can just press play and you can just let the vibes just kind of guide you in a direction that feels right. Man.
Thank you so much.
That's what older Franco would get from me, dude.
Yes.
And I hope you would give that to yourself when time is due. Yeah. Let's wrap it up here with what do you want to kind of put into the atmosphere for 2025 for you, brother?
I reckon more New York trips.
Okay.
More LA trips. Maybe some, maybe aim for some like big bucket list for me is do some Formula One stuff this year.
Oh wow.
Maybe do like a Silverstone or something. And then just like travel more, like eat more food, meet more people, and just enjoy the ride.
Dude, it's a forever open door policy to Maxwell's house, bro. So whenever you need to, Listen, my couch is
Thank
just
you.
as open as yours
Thank
is for
you.
me, dog.
Thank you.
Can we
man.
give? It's Frankie, baby. A round of
Frankie,
applause. Thanks for hanging out with us at
baby.
KTU, bro.
Thanks, boys. Thanks, Maxwell.
Dude.